it's very, very hard nowadays to come for the king,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I think a lot of startups, like, we are Ambiguous Podcast Solutions is technically a tech startup.
Right.
We're podcast tech, so pod tech.
Pod tech, I like it, yeah.
Pod tech. But, it's very hard to go after the king when you can just get bought out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of startups, their goal is to get bought out. I know my goal is to get bought
Right,
out.
yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to go after Google. I want their money.
Exactly.
I mean, but that comes with an issue, because I was talking to Chris Engelbert, who is an RIA planner who does investments and retirements.
I'm familiar with that space. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but his thing is like the next big innovation is healthcare.
Yep.
But a lot of the healthcare space is getting bought up by these other companies.
Yep.
So you can get the innovation from the technology and get the technology bought up. But are the price is going to come down? Well, no, because it's a monopoly and it's corrupt.
Exactly.
So,
Totally.
like, if all these tech companies, fintech companies, startups in general want to get bought up, where does that really leave the market?
Mm-hmm. See, so the way I kind of look at it is, I would say that, based on my experience, a lot of fintechs would rather, I think that it owes partially to founders' egos and personalities and everything else, but more than they want to go public. They want to, be there on CNBC ringing the bell.
Mm-hmm.
But then going back to the point you just raised about healthcare and health tech, I think in that case, just because you're never going to go out there, you're not going to take down Johnson & Johnson. You're not going to take down
Phaser,
Pfizer, or Moderna.
They got $100 billion
Moderna is
from one drug.
Moderna is kind of technically a startup too, but they're hard to take down. But one of the examples I always think of when it comes to health tech is there's a company that does smart thermometers, and it leverages kind of Internet of Things and collects data from these smart thermometers to determine potential future pandemic outbreaks based on people who have a fever. I'm trying to think of the name of the company. I got it written down. So Kinsa is the name of the company. So what Kinsa have done is they've built this this network of smart thermometers that gathers data and allows healthcare professionals to kind of track future trends. That company's getting acquired. They are definitely ripe for acquisition. I don't see a company like that going public, because you look at going back, Johnson & Johnson or Becton Dickinson or some of those other big healthcare conglomerates. Why would they try to innovate on that when they've got the deep pockets? They can just run out and buy a Kinsa and make the founders very happy.
Yeah. And for quick innovation, don't get me wrong, sometimes people have a great idea. I mean, one thing about the United States, it's the most innovative country that's ever existed.
Having lived in the UK for 5 years and, traveled to 32 countries during that time span, I can tell you absolutely.
And you can say China does this, that, and the other, but they steal our IP.
Exactly.
Right? That's just what they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
They can't make their own.
Right.
I mean, they probably could, but their government, their system is it's not that easy.
That's what I can't figure out. Is they certainly have the scale to make their own and make it better. And
you know what? They got the pockets to buy ours.
Exactly. Yeah. Who knows where that money's
So
coming from.
it's just it's a lot easier to just buy the competition. Like if I'm Pfizer, do I want to spend the money for research, or do I want to spend the money on the people doing the research?
Right.
I'm gonna do the research and make the profit off the back ends, and then you can just raise the prices, because that's what they can do.
Exactly.
So I think I don't know when someone needs to step in. I guess the government, which never is gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounds good on paper. The innovation's there, technology's there, but the prices are only gonna continue to go up. And I think that's just a problem in the tech startup world in general. Because if they keep getting bought up and up, it's going to be harder to start a company, which means more layoffs are going to happen.
Right. And that's interesting, too, because I do think that, we're seeing with the, obviously, with the big names in, tech, with, Google, sure, Microsoft, Google, they've, Meta, Facebook, whatever it's called this week. Yeah, exactly. The FANGs have all kind of announced their own rounds of layoffs over the past over the past few weeks. I think that you're also seeing, obviously, when the smaller tech startups do layoffs, it's not as big of a deal.
Yeah,
just because they're
expected.
It's expected. They're startups. You got to fail fast, fall forward, and figure out what's next. And I think that so it doesn't make as much news, but I think that you're starting to see that knock-on effect. I talk to I have lots of friends who are very active in the startup space, and they're seeing definitely some. A couple. My former employer that I was at for a couple of years before I came here just laid off probably not quite 10%, but a fair amount of their employees, a fair percentage of their employees. It's just it is hard to see, but it's not totally unexpected. Thankfully, right. I'm lucky enough to be in a in a space at an employer who, as far as I know, we don't have any layoffs planned anytime soon. So we're really looking for we're looking to hire. Here's a quick plug. Check out r3.com/careers if you're interested in learning more about distributed ledger technology and how it's revolutionizing capital markets.